I made this painting because I was sick, I was bored, and I'd spent most of the morning just lying in bed rotting, and doom scrolling on YouTube Shorts. I mean, that's when it's bad. That's when it's bad because you're on YouTube Shorts. That's that's not alright. That's where all like the 6, 7 memes and the edits of Dexter and House are. So yeah, I was bored of that. I wanted to get up. I wanted to do something with the time I had off, and so I didn't want to do collage. I didn't want to draw. Didn't feel up to that. So I just wanted to throw some paint about and feel the sensation of putting paint on a surface, because there's nothing quite like it. So I got this canvas, this old canvas, must be like 6 or 7 years old now, no pun intended, but it's got like these old childhood drawings on it, and I just worked over that. I was planning on using it for something anyway, so I decided this was the time to use it. I kept that little shape in the top left hand corner. I kept that in there because I wanted some of the original to show through. But yeah, I just started working abstractly with acrylics. I brought in some oils eventually. You can see the orange oil here because they've just, they've got a nicer colour, they're more vibrant, they've got more textures, they're juicier, they run really nicely, they blend really nicely, and you can keep working wet and wet with them, which is what I really like. You can just see me like, just putting stuff down, reacting to what's already there and choosing the next step as it comes. And it was a really nice day. You can see it was sunny. I was wearing my painting clothes, my comfies, and just enjoying moving paint about on the canvas. And I work intuitively in pretty much everything I do. I mean, there might be a concept for some of the works that I do, but typically with art I'll work intuitively and I'll adapt to whatever happens, and I'll let the artwork lead me, and I'll react off of the materials I've got and what's working and what's going on in the world at the time. And this is no different. I titled this work after I'd finished. I titled it Memento Mori, quite gruesomely. Memento Mori, remember you shall die. How morbid is that? But I think that's quite important. It's quite important to remember, actually. Remember you shall die. People don't like talking about it, but, it's just a fact, isn't it? You will die. So that's what I titled this work. Sort of a reaction to me being sick. I had a sore throat, specifically. And I hate sore throats. When I get a sore throat, I just immediately pump myself full of painkillers. And, when you've got a cold, you lie there thinking of all the good times before you were sick. Of all the times that you could breathe through your nose properly, and all the times that you could swallow without it hurting, and when your ears didn't pop every time you swallowed. That's what this painting's about, as well as death. It's about that. It's about remembering the good times of before you were ill. That sort of presented itself in a few ways. I mean, the meaning, partially, came from the very act of painting. I painted this because I was sick and I wanted something to do. But in my, as I've said many times in this video, I will typically see things in the painting when there's a few layers down, and I will adapt to that. And I think that around this time I started thinking more technically about what I wanted. I knew it needed some darker elements, tonally. You always go darker than you think you need to go. That's my advice. With white and with black, with light and shadow, you always go more extreme than you think you need to, because it will make for a more interesting composition and make for a more interesting dynamism. I think that's a word. So then I added this big black shape towards the right hand side, sort of like a grim reaper. I think it almost looks like an old woman laying, sort of bending over. Um, but also I see sort of heaven in this work as well. You've got the blue of the sky and then the gold of the heavens above leaking down into the sky. It's almost like a beam of light, those beam of lights that you get through clouds when the sun is really nice and the air is just humid enough. So yeah, but I'm always trying to stretch, what I'm doing with painting. I'm always trying to not get too attached to what I do. I'm too much of a perfectionist. And more often than not, things will go wrong. And the only thing you can really do is adapt to that and embrace it. Hence why I dripped black all over this piece towards the end and allowed it to ruin everything that I'd already done. It's important to remember, I think, that not every ending is pretty. But equally, not everything has an ugly ending either. So in the meantime, you may as well make a painting.